Hello, everybody. Today I'm talking about Jupiter retrograde. It's going to start its retrograde in Aquarius and move back to its debilitation in Capricorn. And it is also going to be Ativakri. We'll talk about that a bit later. The dates are from 20th June to 17th of October. Let's explore. Hello, I'm Komilla Sutton, and we are talking about Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius and Capricorn. Please do remember to subscribe, press the bell notification. So Jupiter goes retrograde on 20th of June, and it will retrograde till 17th of October. Now, already as we are talking, Jupiter has slowed down. Usually 5 days before it turns retrograde and 5 days when it's going to go direct. So let's just explore right now. So 5 days before 20th of June means 15th of June onwards, Jupiter goes retrograde and slows down. It actually retrogrades on the 20th, but it'll slow down. So unlike Saturn, Jupiter slowing down, if he's slowing down on a planet of yours, then that is quite a pleasurable experience. However, whenever these planets go retrograde, because of their speed, because they're slowing down, then what happens is that things start slowing down. Sometimes, you're trying to push ahead an agenda, you want to get something done, it's not happening. So to remember the retrograde is important, and 20th June especially, it's a good idea to keep it simple, not do any major projects or things, because things can get delayed. Even Jupiter, who's a benefic and a positive planet, he can delay. If you're flying somewhere, it can mess up your schedule, anything. So it is Sunday this year, so maybe it's more pleasurable activities that can get messed up a little bit. So be aware of it. And as you're aware, then you can take some balancing action. And the same thing is on 17th of October. So 5 days before 17th of October, that means from 12th of October, Jupiter starts slowing down, and then it will slow down and go direct. Now, even as it goes direct, it's not quickly moving forward. So as it goes direct, it is going to take its time. So if you think about a car, when you want to back your car, you have to stop, slow down, stop. You can't be going at, say, 70 miles an hour and then suddenly brake. You have to slow the car down, stop it, and then bring it to go backwards. And the same thing when you want to go ahead. So this thing in October as well, that you need to watch out. Now, as an astrologer, over the years, I've been watching these aspects and following it. So being aware of it. And 17th of October, just be aware that that day can be messed up. So don't plan. Now you have enough time not to plan for something on that particular day itself when Jupiter goes direct. Of course, wherever you are in the world, the timing will be different. So you do need to check it out. If you go online, you will be able to get this information. If you sign up for my newsletter, I do the monthly news, and even in this month's newsletter, I've given the exact time when Jupiter turns retrograde, so you can work out. In October newsletter, I will be giving the time when Jupiter goes direct, so you can work it out for your own country, city, etc. For another month in Capricorn, when it will move forward back to Aquarius in November. So this transit is spanning 2 signs and actually also 2 nakshatras. It is in Shatabhishak now. It will go back to Dhanishta, and then it will remain in Dhanishta for quite some time again. Now, something unusual about this transit is that it is not going to make any conjunction. So certainly in Aquarius, there is no big planet coming to Aquarius at this time, no Sun, Mars, Rahu, Ketu. Although Moon will transit Aquarius once a month. So it has a moon conjunction, but none of the other planets will conjoin Jupiter. When he goes into Capricorn, he will be with Saturn, but there is no conjunction of Saturn. Jupiter-Saturn conjunction already happened in 2020 on 21st of December 2020. So now there is togetherness, you can say. In fact, Saturn is helping support the debilitation of Jupiter, so canceling the debilitation of Jupiter. Now, also Jupiter's exact debilitation degree is 5 degrees of Capricorn, and here Jupiter is going to be in late degrees of Capricorn. But no other conjunction except for the moon on a monthly basis. That means whatever the job Jupiter has to do, whatever the duty he has to do, he's going to do. But he's not going to be aggravated or improved. What happens is when there are exact conjunctions of planets, they activate that energy and they can also aggravate that energy. So Jupiter is going to do its job. And at this stage, when any planet turns retrograde, it is moving backwards. That means it has decided not to go forward. So whatever its planetary house rulership is or Karaka is, there is some hesitancy about going to the future. So the planet is going through its old stuff. So a great way of using retrograde planets are to also rethink what you did, rethink your ideas, your strategy. Jupiter is the guru. So your inner guru, you can say, and you can rethink what were you thinking. Is there anything that needs refreshing, replanning? And then after 17th of October, you can move forward with it. Dig deep into the things. It could be about children, it could be relationships, money. Jupiter is significator for many things. However, most impact of these retrogrades is either side, when a planet turns retrograde and when he's about to go direct. These planets that turn retrograde all the time, they don't tend to affect us so much during the in-between time. However, of course, children born at this time would have Jupiter retrograde in their chart. That's a separate area, and I did make a video about Jupiter retrograde in your chart. But this is a transit retrograde. So if you watch for the beginning of the transit, which is now, and then the end of the transit while it's retrograde, and take balancing, careful actions, because planet is changing its energy. And during the time, you can rethink some things. It'll be obvious to you what you want to rethink. And if it isn't obvious, don't worry about it. That means there's nothing specifically that you need to work out. I think especially Sagittarius, Pisces, whose ascendant ruler, moon ruler is there, then that is important to do. So how does it affect you? Remember, we are looking at all the transits from the ascendant and the moon. Now, somebody asked me the other day, what about sun signs? You can look at the same thing from your sun sign as well. Traditionally in Jyotish, we look at all the transits from the moon sign. I've added the ascendant because I always look at things from the ascendant and find that they are very useful to study. But you can add the sun signs and see whether it makes sense to you. So I'm not against it. I'm just not explaining it each time. So Aries, Jupiter is your 9th lord and 12th lord. It is going to go retrograde in the 11th house of money. So 9th house is the guru, 12th house is expenses, and it's in the 11th house of money. Earnings as well. So I would say that definitely watch out for your expenses. You don't want all your earnings to go into expenses. And secondly, also what I spoke earlier about is to think about how you are thinking. Is there anything, your thought process, your inner guru, whether you need to rework that energy at all. Taurus, Jupiter is not the best planet for you. Jupiter rules your eighth house, and it also rules your 11th house. So 11th house is a house of money, and so it can bring profit to you. Eighth house is transformation, change. So the retrograde maybe make you rethink about some changes you're making. Now, 11th house Lord is not considered the best planet. However, he's the planet for money, and this retrograde is taking place in the 10th house of career. So he can bring some opportunities for you professionally as well. And then when he retrogrades back to Capricorn, it is your 9th house. So do remember to think about your advice you're getting and your inner advice as well. Gemini, Jupiter rules your 7th and 10th house, relationships and career. So those are the areas that you need to ponder about, think about. The transit is in your 9th house, going back to your 8th house. So 9th house is the guru, the advisor. That's a good transit for you. However, 8th house, that can bring some disruption because Saturn will be there and Jupiter will be there. And then moon transits it to activate the energy. So it is good for you to be extra cautious from July to November while Jupiter is in Capricorn. Cancer, this retrograde is from your 8th house. Jupiter's in your 8th house. 8th house is transformative, changing. It can also bring some unexpected money, finances for you. It retrogrades to your 7th house of relationships. Now for Cancer ascendant, Jupiter rules the 6th house and the 9th house. So in the 7th house, it brings both blessings and some obstacles as well. So from 19th of July, do keep an eye out for that. Leo, Jupiter is a great planet for you. Aquarius is in the house of relationships. So going retrograde in Aquarius is good. You can get good partners, not just personal relationships, other relationships. And it goes retrograde into your 6th house, which is not so positive. It can bring some obstacles and wrong kind of advice. When Jupiter is in Capricorn, it's also not aspecting your ascendant or moon sign. So you can feel that lack of opportunity, lack of luck at that stage. Virgo, Jupiter's retrograde from Aquarius to Capricorn actually is good. Capricorn is excellent for you. Aquarius is your 6th house. So 6th house is house of obstacles, difficulties, especially relationship-wise. You may have been dealing with some obstacles, but it is important for you to wait and see when Jupiter goes into Capricorn. It starts aspecting your ascendant. It is also a blessing on ideas and good thinking. Libra, Jupiter is turning retrograde in your 5th house of creativity. And it is going to go back into the 4th house. So both those areas are rather special for you. So there's no problem. Even though Jupiter is not the best planet for you, by transit, Jupiter is always positive, always expands the area, does a positive aspect to it. Only thing to watch out is that sometimes Libra and Venus don't always trust Jupiter. So you can either ignore advice or not get the best advice. Scorpio, the Jupiter retrogrades in your 4th house. It is your 5th house ruler. Ideas, creativity. Sometimes you may find that your ideas are feeling blocked during this time. So be careful about that as it turns retrograde and as it goes direct. It also rules house of money. So financial decisions made at the 2 points, the beginning and end of the retrogrades have to be made with care. Otherwise, it is a good retrograde. You feel very happy, you feel contented, and it will retrograde back to your third house. Third house is house of action, ideas, communication. It can give some unusual type of ideas and communication. So do watch for that. Sagittarius, it is your Lagna Lord or Moon Lord. Therefore, this is important retrograde for you. You may feel blocked. You may feel things slowing down. Change your mind about situations. So it is really significant for you to pay extra attention to the retrograde and how you're feeling, what choices you're making, or generally wait till the retrograde has happened. What happens is once the retrograde has happened, you're no longer kind of confused about what you want to do, because then Jupiter is in its rhythm with the retrograde. So everything is okay. And same thing when Jupiter is about to go direct. It is going to go direct in October. So same thing there. The retrograde is between your third house and going back to the second house. Third house is confidence, courage, motivation, and second house is money. So those are the two areas. And of course yourself, because your Lagna or Moon Lord is getting retrograde. Capricorn, Jupiter is turning retrograde in the second house of money. Finances, again, it's not the best planet for you, but wherever Jupiter is there, he's always enhancing that area. And he will go back to Capricorn. So actually in Capricorn, he's making a bit lighter energy because Saturn has been there. So pure Saturn can be good, but very hardworking and responsibility, where Jupiter brings a little lightness to that transit and makes you feel a lot better for it. Of course, your ascendant ruler or moon ruler is retrograde and Jupiter is retrograde. So that means the double retrograde is there in your ascendant. So you're not thinking very conventionally. Is that good or not? I don't know. That is up to you to decide. Aquarius, Jupiter goes retrograde in your ascendant or moon sign, which is very nice, to your 12th house. It can do a couple of things. It can make you go abroad, think about going traveling, which now things are opening up, or it can create expenses. Maybe both of them are related, but do be careful about expenses. Also, Saturn is there already. Saturn can actually make you strict about your expenses, but Jupiter goes there, it is more expansive. So do be careful about that. Pisces, it is your Lagna Lord or Moon Lord that is turning retrograde. So this is a key transit for you. Do watch out for the 5 days before it goes retrograde, and then the 5 days after itself, because the planet is slow at that stage. Same thing in October, 5 days before the 17th of October, 5 days after that. But at the same time, once it goes retrograde, then it is in its rhythm. So it's not a problem. So 12th house, as Jupiter is in the 12th house, it is paying attention to spirituality, because you're Pisces, you are very spiritual anyway, but it can also give you expenses. Actually can be better for you for earnings. It can bring earnings and it can also tighten the expenses. And Jupiter in Capricorn is rather special because not conjoining with Saturn. So you have Jupiter as well as Saturn placed in Capricorn, and both of them 11th Lord and Lagna Lord in the 11th house. So this may be a good time to make some practical decisions about your earnings, and they can also increase. So thank you so much and all the best. And do remember to subscribe, press the bell notification.